Because within his first 4 years, Skip, he had 3 Super Bowls with 2 MVPs. And so everybody, well, this is easy. No, it's not. That's in the 100-year history, what Tom Brady has done is not easy. It's very unique. It's an anomaly. You're probably not going to see a guy go to that many Super Bowls, win that many Super Bowls again. Now, Patrick Mahomes has a great start, but if you want me to bet my money, I'm going to bet he's not getting a 9. That's what I would be willing to do. But I do believe, Skip, because this is a young team. Now, they have some key signings that they're going to have to do. They got some of these D linemen that's coming up. But I believe, Skip, I like his presence, his pocket's present. But he's just going to have to get a little more fielded, Skip. He's going to have to, the moment, I thought yesterday, and you saw this, you mentioned it earlier, I thought he started to tense up a little bit. He started to aim the football instead of just throwing, just let it rip. You've been here, and he knows what's at stake. He hears all the chatter. He knows Coach Belichick had anointed him to replace Tom Brady, and that's what he's going to get measured against. If Jimmy G had just gotten drafted by the 49ers and there was no Tom Brady-Jimmy G comparison or parallel, Skip, we like, yeah, absolutely. A guy in his really second year of starting, and he's already in the Super Bowl, yes, he can win one. But the parallel, the Tom Brady intersect, is what gives people a reason to pause. I do believe, but Cal understands now, is that if you run the football like they run it, you're going to you don't have to prove anything. There'll be a time and a place. I mean, he proved, he went on the road against New Orleans and was down 20-7 and played unbelievable. He had to pick up 2 3rd and 16s against the Rams. He played unbelievable. But in a situation like this, sometimes, you got to check egos too. Coaches have egos. Coordinators have egos, Skip. Of course they do. I'm going to show you. Coach Belichick does it all the time. He'll take another guy. He'll take somebody else's guy that wasn't great over there. Let me show you what I can do with them guys. You don't know what you doing. Leave that alone. But I do believe, Skip, I believe he has what it takes in order for them to win a title.
And I absolutely do not, and I've been staunch in this position from the start. I don't believe in him. Okay. I think deep down you don't really, really trust him when chips are down, playoff chips are down. So I start my argument by, I looked this back up. I saw an item in one of the Bay Area newspapers back in August, and it made the point that the 49ers can cut Garoppolo and his huge contract just 2 years in and leave only $4.2 million in dead money on their cap. So they have an escape hatch here that they can take if they so choose, because when they gave him his money, he was still wildly unproven. We'd seen little blips at New England that looked pretty good. And then he'd been hurt for the year, as you know. So my point is, this is what I would do. They almost certainly won't do this, but this is what I would do.
You get Brady.
I would cut him, and I would sign Tom Brady for 2 more years, because Tom Brady would live and love to go home. He would live for it, because he started as a 49er fan in San Mateo, California. And he posted a great picture when Candlestick Park closed. He was at the Dwight Clark, Montana to Clark catch game. There it is right there. That's 4 years old. That's Tom at 4. And that was early 1982. And I was there up in the press box, and he was there down. It looked like they had pretty good seats. Yeah. And there he was, and he got to witness one of the greatest. Some people think it's the greatest play ever.
Don't know how much
I thought it was lucky, but yeah, I don't know how much. But he was a huge Joe Montana fan, so he could actually pull, in this scenario, a reverse Montana, and Montana had to go finish in Kansas City, and Tom could go finish at home. Where his parents live in San Mateo, it's just like right up the 101. You could get home in about 10 minutes from that stadium. So the point is, if I am John Lynch and I am Kyle Shanahan and I'm Mike Shanahan, I'm thinking we are so close that if I could have Tom Brady at still a pretty high level for Tom Brady, that if I'd had him last night, I believe they would have won the game with Tom Brady. He's just been there and done all that. He's going to make the right play at the right time. He's going to check you out of plays into run plays, which Tom has no problem with. He has no throwing ego at all. He will check to run plays when it screams for it. So the point is, I would do that for 2 years, and I would give you a better shot at them winning the next 2 Super Bowls with Tom Brady than Jimmy Garoppolo. There's some haywire gene in Jimmy G. I call him Jimmy Interception. He's going to throw you a couple a game, maybe 3 a game, but as you say, you got to catch them. You got to be ready because they're going to come unpredictably quickly.
Right.
And he's got arm talent, so he'll throw some lasers.
Yes.
But they're going to be haywire lasers because you're going to get your hands on them before his receivers do.
Right.
So I don't trust him. He's capable of having a big, good game like he did at New Orleans. He's also capable of last night. That was horrendous to me because I saw him throw one good ball, was to Kittle, and it was offensive pass interference.
Right.
And that's all I saw the whole game that was accurate. All the ones that he completed were high and low. Even the one to Juszczyk down on the goal line, he had to pick it up off the grass.
There are not very many running backs, let alone fullbacks, that could have made that catch.
Scoop that one up,
Yeah.
and then turn and run with it and almost score with it. So to me, remember, Tom Brady went to Sarah High School right there in San Mateo. That's where Barry Bonds went. That's where Lynn Swann went. That's where his heart is and his roots are. And you don't think he'd be inspired with this football team and the weapons they have?
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's right on time. Thank you, gods. You know, here you go.
Is that what you think or that's what you hope happens?
No, I mean, it just makes sense to me. I have no idea, but would Tom be receptive? You better believe he'd be receptive.
You're going to take, I mean, you're talking.
I'm just not sure Jed York and John Lynch and Kyle Shannon. It would be a huge plunge to take.
Yeah.
And you would have to trust that Brady has that much. He's got 2 high-quality years left, and I believe that with all my heart and soul.
And then, after those 2 years, where do you go?
Okay, you have those 2 kids behind that, Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard, and I've seen both of them play pretty well.
Right.
In fact, I think they liked the heck out of both of them because they kept both of them on their roster. Okay. So I'm not saying they're the answer, but listen, it's hard to go win 1 Super Bowl.
It is.
Ask anybody who hasn't ever played in one.
It is.
And if you
ask Kansas City, after it took them 50 years to get
50
back.
50 years, that's touche, bingo, there you go. So if you have a really good football team on the verge, and I don't see them, their offensive line's a little aging maybe, but still, I think they're on the verge. Yeah, I think they got talent everywhere. Yeah. And with a weapon like Debo emerging and Mostert emerging, and Emmanuel. Yeah, and Emmanuel Sanders.
They're going to have to re-sign. They're going to see after whether or not they're going to re-sign Emmanuel. But they got a nice running game. Kilman is under contract. I don't know Mostert's status. But the offensive line is solid. Defensive line is the defense. They're a young, talented football team.
They are.
They have all the makings.
Yep.
And that's the question. I believe they can win with him. But I'm sure Kyle Shanahan, they're sitting down this morning.
Okay. Because if you go forward with Jimmy G, because you say, look at the upside, look at the arm talent, look at the physique, look at his athletic ability.
Right.
How many sleepless nights do you want to have to endure? Because it's going to be a bunch of them. And if you make it to next year's playoffs, you're going to go into your first playoff game thinking, which Jimmy G am I going to get today? Right. The good one or the really bad one? Can we get away today with him throwing only 8 passes?
Skip, there's only a handful of quarterbacks that once you make the playoffs, that the head coach sleep easy at night.
Yep.
Because that's a whole different ball game. Those emotions come, and you never know. I mean, obviously your Tom Brady's and your Breezes and your Mahomes, but there are only a handful of them that can handle that. And Jimmy G, until he does it on a consistent basis, but like I said, Skip, and we talked about it all year. I said if they don't win it, it's going to be because of him. He's the weak link.
He's the weak link.
Here we are.
He's a turnover machine. And I'm like, bro.
There you go.
You should not be a team that can run the football like that.
Yep.
Kind of like Lamar Jackson. Look at Lamar Jackson's interceptions compared to his. One was number 1, the other's number 2. You shouldn't have double the amount of interceptions when you're the second best running team in football because you're going to have guys running scot-free.
I just wouldn't do it. You're too close, you're too good, and it's too much of a fairy tale story. And you want to re-inspire Tom Brady after what he's been through with Bill Belichick, put him in that scenario, and you're going to get
how much is it going to cost him? How much would you be willing to pay Tom Brady for 2 years?
This might be a literal hometown discount, like literally going home for a discount, right?
But hey, look at the man doing Hulu commercial. Clearly the man like money. So clearly the man like money, right, Jenny?
He probably got more in that commercial than
so we read yesterday by ESPN the Raiders, they're going to pull out the stops for Tom Brady. Okay, you got the
That man
Raiders
don't
or the
wanna go to Vegas.
49ers.
That
Which
man don't
one?
want to go to Vegas.
Okay.
He can go. He was just in Vegas a couple of weeks
I
ago
know
at
he
the
was.
fight. So he's like, I can go to Vegas anytime.
Okay.
He want to win a
Trust me,
championship.
because
Skip.
I worked in the Bay Area. You're either Raiders or 49ers, right?
Right.
One's across the bridge and one's on your side of the bridge.
Tom Brady strikes me more as a
He is
49er.
a 49er kind of guy. and
seems
again,
good.
John Gruden has been notoriously tough on his quarterbacks, and he's only one with really grizzled veterans
Yeah.
who can take his,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I don't think Tom Brady's going to be the one that's
I
going
don't
to be
think so.
SOB, the mofo.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly right. He's not going to put up with that.
I mean, you know, Coach Belichick says, Tommy, what the hell are you doing is one thing.
right.
But then you talking in a demeaning tone is something entirely different.
Because Rich Gannon would talk that stuff right back to him.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
And
but that doesn't strike me as Tom's personality, though.
it is not Tom's personality. He is a 49er at heart.
When you tweeted it, I was not so sure, but you are very convincing, Skip. It
good.
makes a lot of sense.
at it.
It almost feels too
Love
storybook.
to see- Would it not be a great story?
It's just.
But you do realize my homeboy ain't going nowhere, right?
Okay.
You know my homeboy,
Yeah,
my
I know,
homeboy
I
ain't
know.
retiring, right?
Yeah, no, okay. We talked about,
How about
Tom.
Brady
We talked about
Mahomes
Pat. We talked
rematch?
about Jimmy G. We have to talk about Dak Prescott.
Yes,
Our
here we
contract
go.
talks between Dak and the Cowboys going horribly wrong. What is happening?
Yes.
We'll tell you next.
Hi, guys.